In this little segment, I'm going to talk about the crisis and meditation. So I was in supposedly a dream marriage for about 3 years, and then my son was born, and then all hell let loose, and it got converted from the dream to a spin cycle in hell. And I don't want to go into the details because it's just not really worth it, other than to say that I was in like a sewage spinner, you know, just like it just got worse and worse, and I had a little child, and it was horrible. You know, I basically ended up living with a stranger. Anyway, after that 7-year cycle of hell, and I finally got out. It's like being in a storm at sea, and you're just being ravaged every day, and suddenly it's kind of over, and you're kind of on the shore, like, what the fuck just happened, and who am I? And you know, I could easily have said, well, you did this, you did that, nah. But really, I had made that decision. I had manifested that reality. My question was, how the fuck did this happen? How did I make this choice? Who the fuck am I? No idea, clearly. Now, I grew up in a situation where it was like always a struggle to be somebody. We were always like this big pretend show of like having to be someone, having a fucking nightmare. I thought that was life. I thought that was normal, that we're all struggling to become, like it was like we're on a race to become someone. I remember in this book I wrote, you know, you would be king and I would be free. Like if I didn't make you into something important, I would always be hostage. Bizarre. But anyway, after I woke up from that, again, 7-year spin cycle in hell, my question was, who the fuck am I? And that was when, and I think the universe is very clever because she sends, I call her a she, by the way, because it's definitely a woman. It's my own feeling. I got into meditation. Somebody gave me a book, and so I'm talking about meditation, which is very simple. You sit on a cushion, 5-10 minutes beginning, little by little, and you grow. For me, it was like an extra muscle. It's a viewing platform. You begin to see how your mind works. Now, I was used to always like being pushed and pulled around by it, and now what happens is that your whole system begins to slow down because you're building this other muscle. It's like going to the gym, where you're beginning to see the thinking in your head. Now, there are thousands of places that do meditation, but again, I don't believe in funny people with funny outfits, you know, creating hierarchies. And I understand that ritual is important for discipline, but unfortunately, like Zen, which is Japanese tradition, my encounter with it here it's very Western. It's, you know, people again playing the competitive hierarchical game. I started to go to a place in the East Village, which was, at the beginning was really cool. Even had to wear funny outfits and, you know, sing songs, and I didn't know what I was saying. But it was part of that kind of, you know, kind of finding a container to do the meditation. But again, you know, I was brought into a Zen meeting where I was told that I was responsible for this guy that killed all these kids in Russia. I was like, what is this? You know, I grew up with enough guilt with some guy on a cross. I don't believe in any of this shit. Like, just tell me about how I can get inside my brain. And I think meditation is phenomenal. It's a brilliant technology. No one's telling you anything. You just have to sit there and you watch how the brain works. And my first learning was, as I sat there and I watched, was that as you begin to slow down and you begin to build this muscle, you then take that muscle off the cushion. So in other words, you're always in observation of people. So from the look what he did and look what she did to why is that igniting a response in me? Not them, They're just being who they are. Everybody has a right to be who they are and say what they want to do, whatever. But more, you understand that you're a framework, that you've been built in a certain way, and the only way to see that framework is to see how the framework is ignited. So, for example, I had a very angry partner, a business partner, and one day I went to the wrong place, happens, to meet, let's interview somebody, and she arrived and she was furious, and I was trembling. I'm like, why am I trembling? This is insane. And again, I was trembling because her anger, which was making me upset, was coming from another place, and it was coming from my own past. And as it turns out, my own father was a very angry, tyrannical human being. So what's amazing is that if you actually watch how your responses happen, you can then begin to see, oh, it came from that. You kind of follow the tributary of the river down, and you begin to see where the source is of it. So for me, it was very powerful because I became calmer as I became more of an observer, and I began to observe how I was responding to the world, because what was responding was the framework that had been built when I was powerless and vulnerable and tiny. And all that mechanism was the thing that was responding. It's not about the other human being. You can't change people. We're not supposed to. People are who they are. We need to be able to see inside of us how we're made. And we can see how we're made when we, instead of responding, we allow ourselves to have the feeling, oh, this makes me angry or upset or makes me tremble or whatever. Why am I trembling? Not why is she angry? She can be angry all she likes, all day, all night if she wants to be. But why am I trembling when she gets angry? Or what is it in my past? And then there's this beginning of a connection to, okay, there was this really angry man in my house. I get it. So that's one thing. And then you keep seeing it and everything. So in your work life, your relationship, everything. Once, that's a very powerful beginner's tool. The observation of who you are. And the building of this muscle of observation through the very simple technique of meditation. And meditation is brilliant. It doesn't cost any money. You can learn about it. You can go to different centers. There are all different techniques, Buddhist, all these different techniques. But ultimately, it's about sitting and build. And also, what happens is that you're building up energy. When you stop responding, it's like a battery. You're building up the energy within you, and it gets building and building. And I went literally, I think it was over. My son graduated when he was 18, so I started when he was like 5 or something like that. So over a long course of many years, it went from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour and a half every day. So I was like, my energy was being returned to me as I stopped responding, and I could begin to see the framework of how I was built. This was again another tool that helped me dismantle who I was. I mean, again, it was one tool, one layer of many layers, but it got me to the first layer of retaining energy and beginning to see, literally, it's almost like the elephant, parts of the elephant. You think, oh, there's a tail over here, there's a trunk over there, okay. Like if you're blind, right? So I would advise you to start with meditation. Slowly. I know it's very difficult, we're so distracted, there's so much going on, we need to be in everything. But if you want to begin to get that power back, it's a phenomenal tool And there are many places to do it. But ultimately, I did it on my own. I sat at home, I got a cushion, and I just practiced for many, many years. So, meditation, #1 medicine for healing, #1. Next time, I'll be talking about kundalini and ayahuasca.